In this lesson, we're going to look at another way of factoring, and this is factoring when we're given a trinomial. We're going to be looking at specific types of trinomials. This lesson is just for trinomials with a leading coefficient of 1. So if you take a look at the examples below, you'll notice that the very first term, there's an imaginary 1 in front of all of them. None of the examples we're going to look at today have a number other than 1 there. We'll be looking at that in a separate lesson. So in this lesson, all of our trinomials are written in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c. And it's very important that you take note that your second term, that is with the just x variable, is b, and that your constant is c. Because in order to factor these trinomials, you're going to have to think of two numbers that will multiply together to get you that c number, but that also add up to get you b. And this is going to help us build our trinomial that's factored. So remember, factoring is the opposite or working backwards from multiplication. So when we look at these problems, we're working our way toward two binomials being multiplied together. So since we know that, we can go ahead and set up our problem as two binomials. To get the first term in each one, we're going to find the square root of a. The square root of x squared is x, so that's going to be the first term in each trinomial. Now to get the second terms, I need to think about what can I multiply to get c and what can I add to get b. So what can I multiply in this example and it equal 12? And then what two numbers can I add that will equal 7? So when we think about all of the ways we can multiply to get 12, you can say 1 times 12, you could say 6 times 2, you could say 3 times 4. So of all those possibilities, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4, they'll all multiply to get 12, but which combination also adds to get 7? Well, 1 plus 12 is 13, so it wouldn't be that one. 2 plus 6 is 8, so it wouldn't be that one. 3 plus 4 is 7. So the combination that multiplies to give me 7 and multiplies to give me 12 and adds to give me 7 is 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 are the other two terms. And it's a positive 3 and a positive 4. Because positive 3 times positive 4 is 12. And a positive 3 plus 4 is 7. Now, just like with our other problems, we can take this solution of x plus 3 times x plus 4, and we can FOIL it to check it. So first, outside, inside, last. Combining the two in the middle, and I get x squared plus 7x plus 12, which is the original problem I started with. So even though we're learning a new way to factor it, we can still work backwards with multiplication to check our answer. Take a look at number 2. So again, notice my first term has a leading coefficient of 1. There's not a coefficient in front of that n that we can see. So there's an imaginary 1. So because of that, I can go ahead and set it up as two binomials. I know that the square root of n squared is just n, so that's the first term. Then I need to determine what can I multiply that will give me 20? And what can I add that will give me 9? So we want to think of all of our combinations to multiply and get 20. You have 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. Of these combinations, I need to be able to add and get 9. Well, 1 plus 20 is 21, 2 plus 10 is 12, 4 plus 5 is 9. So the second two terms are 4 and 5, and both being positive, because positive 4 times positive 5 is 20, and 4 plus 5 is 9. Then I can take this answer of n plus 4 times n plus 5, and I can FOIL it to check it. So first, outside, inside, last. Combine the two in the middle, and I get n squared plus 9n plus 20, which is my original problem. Go ahead and highlight number 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's take a look at number 7. So number 7, we notice that the first term has the leading coefficient of 1. So we're going to follow the same procedure. We're going to set up those two binomials. And the square root of n squared is n. So that's my first two terms. Then I need to know what can I multiply to get negative 18. And what can I add to get a positive 3. So it's just a little bit more complex thinking about our combinations because it has to multiply to get a negative, which means one number is positive and one number is negative. Well, if we think about our combinations to multiply to get just 18, you have 1 and 18. Well, if we combine 1 and 18, whether they're positive or negative, we're not going to get anything close to 3. We have 2 and 9, so that could be a possibility. But if we really think about it, 2 plus 9 is 11, and 9 minus 2 is 7, so that's still kind of far off. We do 3 times 6, which seems likely. So remember, we have to multiply a positive times a negative to get a negative 18. So one of these numbers needs to be negative. Well, if I did negative 3 times 6, or a positive 3 times a negative 6. Both of these cases give me negative 18. If I combine them, negative 3 plus 6, that gives me 3. And then the other option would be 3 minus 6, that gives me negative 3. Well, I'm looking for the option that multiplies to give me negative 18 and combines to give me 3. Which would be negative 3 and positive 6. So when I put that into my binomial, it would be negative 3 minus 3 plus 6. And then we can still check this. So when we check it first, outside, inside, last, combine your two in the middle, and you get n squared plus 3n minus 18. So especially for these problems that have a negative in your trinomial, I would make sure that you double check your answer by the FOIL method, just to be sure. Number 8. So again, we can go ahead and set it up because it's just a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. The square root of x squared is x, so that's my first term. And I'm looking for two numbers that will multiply to give me negative 8 and combine to give me a positive 2. So thinking of our combinations that give me 8. You have 1 and 8, but combining those two, I'm not really going to probably get a 2. You have 2 times 4. I could maybe get a 2 there. So again, one needs to be positive and one is negative in order to get negative 8. So I could do negative 2 times 4, that's negative 8. Or I could do 2 times negative 4, that's a negative 8. Well, when we combine them, negative 2 plus 4, that's 2. Or 2 minus 4, that's negative 2. We're looking for the combination that multiplies to give me negative 8 and combines to give me positive 2. So that would be the combination of negative 2, positive 4. So minus 2 plus 4 in my binomials. And then we're going to check it. So first, outside, inside, last. Combine your 2 in the middle, gives me x squared plus 2x minus 8, which is what I started with. Go ahead and highlight numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12. And highlight 13 and 14. And then let's take a look at number 15. So number 15, if you notice, both of your terms are negative. Our first term is still a leading coefficient of 1. So we're still going to start it out as multiplying two binomials. Find the square root of that first term. So the square root of b squared is b. And then I need to find two numbers that multiply to give me negative 63 and combine to give me negative 2. So when I think about negative 63 and all of the ways that I can multiply, the first one that pops into my head is multiplying 9 times 7. And I know that there's a possibility that when I combine these two, I could possibly get negative 2. Now remember, when I multiply, I'm trying to get negative 63. So that means one of these numbers has to be negative. So it could be negative 9 times 7, that's negative 63. Or it could be a positive 9 times a negative 7, that's also negative 63. When I combine them, negative 9 plus 7 is negative 2. Or 9 minus 7 is a positive 2. Remember, we want the combination that gives us negative 63 and negative 2, which is the combination of negative 9, positive 7. So it would be minus 9 plus 7. Then we're going to FOIL it to check it. So first, outside, inside, last. Combine the 2 in the middle, we get b squared minus 2b minus 63, which is what we started with. So again, when you have negative terms, I highly recommend that you use the FOIL method to double check your work. Go ahead and highlight numbers 16 through 18.